in the world actually that have that title. So we are very proud of that, and we do have the ability to answer any kind of questions that you have regarding SEO or PPC or any type of marketing for your business, and we make sure to stay ahead of the trends and make sure that we have the most up-to-date information to give you guys. So today we're going to go ahead and cover the gift of increased efficiency of staff bandwidth. We're also going to talk about the gift of passive client acquisition, as well as better client service. So let's go ahead and start off with the increased efficiency and staff bandwidth. So approximately about 46% of calls to medical offices sought information that should be readily available online. There's a lot of times that people tend to call into offices asking questions that they should be able to potentially find on the website itself. So when you think about your website, you want to make sure that you have enough information that it doesn't necessarily deter them from wanting to call you guys, but you want to make sure that when they do call into the office that they want to essentially schedule an appointment to come on in. If they have questions, that's great. You want to make sure that you have the ability to answer them. But again, you want to make sure that you have a whole wealth of knowledge on your website, because again, the website is an extension of your business. And as much as you have pride into your business and the office and everything is up to date and clean and you know, technology is up to date, everything that you have is good to go, you need to actually make sure that that's also happening on your website, because again, that's the very first thing people see of your business. It's like a book. A lot of times people say don't judge a book by its cover, but unfortunately when it comes to businesses, they will judge your business based off of how your website is. So you want to make sure that you are, again, prepped and ready. Your website can help new clients really anticipate what's to come at their first visit with you, so they can walk in prepared, ready to go, whether you have online forms available at your on your website so that they can fill those out and not have to wait when they get to your office. Keep in mind, a lot of times when people do go to your offices, it might be Monday through Friday, and they're probably taking a lunch break. They're probably taking time off of their day to try to stop on in. They don't necessarily have all the time in the world if it's during the weekday. And so you want to make sure to make it as easy as possible, and that there's nothing kind of in the way of letting them come into your office. You know, if they want to go in there and they say, I don't really want to because I got to spend about 15 minutes filling out paperwork, well, maybe make that paperwork available online so that way it's easy for them to fill it out. And then when they go and take their break, they can go ahead and head down to your office and get whatever services they need done. You want to make sure that, again, with the whole appointment portion of it, you want to give people the ability to understand what's needed if they are a new patient. So maybe use a page on your website such as a new client center, new patient center, something like that, that can explain what to expect at their appointment and how to prepare for it. If they're a current client, you can kind of explain that in the office, and they'll kind of know which direction to go and what they need to do. A lot of times if they fill out the paperwork before, they might not have to fill out again, but a lot of this has to be about new clients. You want to make sure that they understand what to do, and you kind of corral them in the direction that you want them. So this really kind of streamlines the appointment process by giving you those prepared clients, I guess you can say, and as opposed to people that will come in, maybe they realize it's just a lot of time and they just don't have that kind of time, and then they end up having to reschedule, and then we all know how that goes. It ends up not really happening. So it really cuts down the time that you have to spend, not just the client, but also the time that you have to spend essentially, you know, getting them prepped in the office or whatnot. You want to have people come into the office good to go and pretty much, you know, in the door and then out the door, and they're good and taken care of. Another thing you want to make sure is that everything is well educated. You're well educated. The website has enough information to make sure that those clients are well educated. And you can even use the content on the website to educate your clients about the different services that you offer, how they can benefit, and which one is right for them. It's actually a great tool that you can even use in the office if they have questions, and you can kind of let them know, hey, you can find this on our website. It's right here. Obviously, you want to explain it to them in person, but you have the ability to go ahead and show them where they can also take a look at it when they leave the office. This saves both their time and yours, of course, if the client already has a basic understanding. So you don't really have to start from square one. You want to kind of give them whatever tools that they need in order to know what the best decision for them is going to be. And of course, like I mentioned, it's going to be less time on forms, less time on the phones. You want to make sure that when someone does come in, if they do have questions, that you have the capability of answering it. If you have staff members that aren't quite sure exactly kind of what's going on, honestly, the website's a perfect education tool for staff. You know, I mean, staff sometimes don't quite understand certain ins and outs of maybe certain techniques, maybe certain ways that things are done or whatnot. Obviously, they should. of course, I'm just using this as an example. If they don't, if your website has all that information, just the same as a client's going to be educated, your staff can be educated on exactly how things work out. And you can even use it as kind of a hitting two birds with one stone. You can use it as an education tool for clients. You can also use it as an education tool for your staff to where they can understand, okay, this is what needs to happen if someone calls in, this is how we handle it. If someone already filled out paperwork, this is where you can find it on the back end of our system to make sure that you pull it up so that when they're there, you have it ready to go. Again, they can get in, they can get out, and also, I mean, keep in mind, that's the way that a lot of these patients work. That's the way a lot of these clients work. They're doing it on their breaks. They're doing it when they have a little bit of time available, and they're going to try to stop in and stop, and pop back out. You want to make sure to give them that ability. If you don't, and you're causing a bottleneck by giving them all these different forms and different things that they need to fill out while they're there, while they're using that time that they could be serviced, it's going to cause some problems, and it's going to be one of those things where they're probably not going to want to come back. They're probably not going to want to, follow up with you. They're probably not going to want to refer other people to you because maybe it took too long, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a win-win situation. It wins for the clients, and it also wins for your staff. So keep that in mind. When you increase that efficiency, you can increase the amount of bandwidth that you have for your current staff, and overall, it's going to help your business to really essentially bring more patients in. If you're spending so much time, I mean, you really got to kind of put those things into perspective. Are you spending too much time preparing for patients? Are you spending a lot of your time actually helping those patients? Think about that. So this is going to be one of those things that's going to help reduce that time and increase the bandwidth so that you can help more patients and essentially get more revenue into the practice. Next, of course, we're going to talk about client acquisition. Now, what you want to make sure that you do is, of course, once you have all these steps followed with the bandwidth and the efficiency or whatnot, this will be the next step that you want to kind of look at. Now, do you believe the only way to get new clients is really through advertising? A lot of people think that's true. Sometimes it's not. But believe it or not, having a well-optimized website that ranks really high or at least high enough on the search results page is probably more of a superior promotional tool than pretty much any other ad. The very first thing people are going to really look at is Google. They're really going to probably go online. They're going to search for a business. They'll find your business. Then they'll see it. Maybe they'll see other competitors or whatnot. But that's the very first thing anybody does. I mean, it's cliche now for people to say, Google it, or I went to Google. Some people might use Yahoo, might use some other search engines, which is fine. It's all pretty much the same when you're finding a business. But Google, of course, is the most used search engine tool. Now, a lot of people are going to go there. They're going to see your website. They might see a couple links of your website. But you want to make sure that the first thing, of course, is making sure your website is at least optimized and everything's good to go SEO-wise, so that you have it at least ranking to where people can find it. Bulking up your content. Okay, content, of course, I've always mentioned this before if you've been in previous webinars. If not, letting you know now, content is king. It's probably not going to go away for anytime soon. Content itself is going to be essentially what people are going to be able to pull your website up with. There is nothing else on the website that's going to be relevant to when someone's searching for you that it's going to pull it up, unless they're typing in a very specific piece like a phone number, a doctor's name, a practice name. By that point, there's no need for them to search anything. They already know who you are because they're searching for those pieces. When someone is searching for something a little more broad, of course, it's going to pull up other factors, but those things are essentially all going to center around the content. So once you have that content, of course, in motion, then that's going to help to pull up your website a little more when someone is searching for it. Now, blogging is probably one of those key factors in content. If you think, you have enough content or you don't know what to write, blogging is a great way to keep your website refreshed. Back in the day, blogging sites were like the #1 craze. That was one of those things that a lot of people saw all the time. They pulled up in the top search results for almost anything. Bloggers were huge. Not to say they're not big now, but they're not as relevant as what they used to be. Now there's vloggers with a V, which is video blog, which essentially, of course, because YouTube is just skyrocketed in the last 5 years or so, I should say. I would say if you're writing a blog, make sure that you're writing it at least somewhat consistent to where it's at least once a couple weeks, once a week, maybe once a month. I would say no minimum than once a month, but no more than maybe once a week or twice a week. It just depends on how much time you have to actually write them. So one thing you want to take a look at is when you are blogging that you're at least making it somewhat relevant to your practice. Again, don't mention anything about politics, religion, sports. None of that has anything to do with your practice. None of that has anything to do with what someone's searching for. And it actually might turn some people off. So make sure you don't touch on those, but that it's only pertaining to your practice. Again, it is a key factor in growth for any business online. About 82% of those who blog see a positive ROI from their inbound marketing. So you want to make sure that if you aren't adding more content, that at least you're adding content in the way of blogging, which is a little bit smaller in amount of words. It's a little bit smaller as far as how big an actual page of content on your website might be. But again, you can touch on little various topics, different trends. If you're a vet, you can talk about different recalls in pet food, maybe different methods that you can do to groom your cat or your dog. If it's an ophthalmologist or an optometrist, you can talk about how to properly care for, contact lenses, what not to do, in dark lighting. If you shouldn't be watching TV, or, like our parents used to always say, don't stand too close to the TV. Different things that you can talk about. It doesn't necessarily have to be about specific services that you offer, just in general, overarching the whole industry itself. You want to make sure that you just talk about things that people might be interested in. And that's going to help out with your ranking. That's going to help out with your content. Now, as far as 24/7 promotion, while you may have a staff full of dedicated team members, your website's easily your best employee. No offense to any employees out there. I'm sure you guys are all amazing, but your website is 24/7. It never sleeps. So it is a robot, and it's one of those things where it doesn't mind working on the evening or the weekends or the holidays. It's your website. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of your site's round-the-clock availability, and you want to make sure that your content can stand alone in satisfying and prospective client needs without having to contact the office for more info or for help. The better a prospect is able to make the decision to book an appointment with you without having to get outside information, the more likely they are to choose you over your competition. The more questions that they have, the more likely it is that they're probably not going to want to go to you. The websites that people go to that they get everything answered, they feel confident, and a lot of times that's all it is. It's about confidence going to the right place. People research doctor offices, people research mechanics, people research even restaurants all the same way. They want to make sure that they're getting the best thing. They're getting the best deal, but also the best service. And so you want to make sure that, if you have content up there, if you have information up there, if there are questions that need to be answered, they do have a way to get a hold of you, obviously through a number, but they want to make sure that, or also like a contact us page, but you want to make sure that you at least have the content and have the pages on your website not completely open-ended to where, hey, if you want to know more, give us a call. Don't leave them in the dark like that. Don't leave it to where they're kind of like, okay, great, well, I'm a night owl, and it's Sunday night, and it's 1 a.m. in the morning, and I'm just happen to be online. How am I going to call you right now? You don't want to do that. And I've actually seen websites that do that. They kind of leave an open-ended type of ending towards the end of every piece of content. If you want to know more, give us a call. That's absolutely not what you want to do. You want to give as much information and as many answers as possible, so that way they know and they can make a solid decision. And of course, the market research is huge. Though you have an idea of who your audience is, you might kind of know who your audience is. Your website can give you really a closer look of who you have and really kind of who you should pursue in order to maximize all your efforts. Google Analytics is probably going to be the best tool in this aspect. It's a great way to improve your website usability, and it's really great to determine what changes should be made. So if you look into which pages have maybe the highest bounce rate, what really drives them away. Now, if you don't know what a bounce rate is when someone goes to a page or goes to a website and essentially they bounce off the page. I mean, if you think of it that way, they are on the page for maybe a couple seconds. There's no engagement. It's almost as if you open a door. We've all kind of, in high school or college, opened a door, and, at a new school or whatnot, and, oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong class, and then you go out. That's a bounce. That's the same thing that happens with websites. If you go to a website, you're like, oh, this is not what I thought it was. And then you leave the website without doing really anything or spending any time on it, that's considered a bounce, and that increases the bounce rate. So you want to make sure that if you're on Google Analytics, now Google Analytics is kind of a beast. It's got a lot of information. It's actually a really great tool, and it's free. But if you have questions on that, please let us know. We can kind of help you read the analytics. But it is one of those tools that's very, very crucial to your online visibility. It's crucial to understanding who your clients are, where people are actually searching for you from. You can see what city, what area, what location people are actually looking for your website, and that will actually determine, hey, maybe a lot of my clientele are coming from the east as opposed from the west that I thought they were. Or maybe a lot of people are actually not in the surrounding area. Maybe they're a couple miles down the way. Maybe we need to update our contact page on our website to make sure that people know the directions coming from this freeway or that highway. There's a lot of different information in the Google Analytics that you can actually use for your website to understand and determine which direction to take the website. And maybe it's one of those things where you notice one of the pages that you thought was a really great idea and you thought was a really good performer, and you look at that page in Google Analytics and you notice that that page has the highest bounce rate out of everything. That's going to tell you completely different stories than what you maybe might be assuming. So Google Analytics is a huge, huge tool to help you out with that. It's going to let you understand where your clients are coming from, what pages your clients don't like, and maybe even the pages that your clients really like. And if that's a page that you notice, maybe you throw some different call to actions in there, maybe some coupons or schedule an appointment button or something like that, something to really strike the iron while it's hot. Again, I hate to say it, but it's like fishing. You can be fishing everywhere, and you think this is a great spot. Since I was a child, this has always been my spot. But then, obviously 20 years later, that spot is completely empty. There's no fish there, but you just, that's my spot. But you need to understand that, hey, maybe people are somewhere else. Maybe the crowd is going somewhere else. That's one of the things that we used to always talk about for years now with Facebook, with Instagram. A lot of people said, Facebook, it's for kids. Facebook. I don't do that. My daughter does that. My son does that. I don't need to do that. Oh, surprise! I mean, even the president has Facebook. I mean, every obviously it's probably not him, but everybody has Facebook. Everybody has Instagram. That's where the masses are going. So when you're promoting yourself in your office and you're advertising things, you want to do it where the masses are. And unfortunately, well, I should say fortunately, because Facebook and Instagram are amazing, but that's where you want to go. So same thing when you're coming to your pages on your analytics, make sure that you're looking at your analytics properly and understanding what pages are good and what pages are bad. The gift of better client service. Now, service obviously is one of those things that is going to determine whether a client comes back. It's going to be one of those things where it determines if people are going to refer people to your practice or whether they leave a good review or a bad review. Your service overall. It doesn't matter if, okay, I'm going to take a car as an example, right? You might have a car that looks really fast, okay? You can get a Ford Pinto and completely remodel the outside to look like a Ferrari. It's still a Pinto, right? It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter how jazzy, how clean, how amazingly pristine the practice is. If your service doesn't match that quality, people are going to know right out the gate, okay? So you want to make sure that your client service is the #1 priority, even over the look of your website, even over the look of your business, your practice, because there's more times than none where I've seen other businesses that maybe were hole in the wall, if it's a restaurant, or if it's, again, I'm just going to use mechanic. These are just things that pop in my head that people search for a lot. That might be, looks like a hole in the wall type of mechanic. You're like, it doesn't look, that looks kind of janky. I'm not going to go there. But their service is amazing, and they do such a great job that that's going to really be what brings you back. That's going to be what's going to kind of open the floodgates for referrals and have you refer people, like your friends, your family, and so on. So service is, again, the #1 thing that you want to make sure that you have. So what you want to do with that, okay, open the lines of communication. Now, you may have set business hours for your office, but your website does not have those same limitations. Like I mentioned, it's 24/7. It's always working. So use this benefit to your advantage by including that pertinent information that prospective clients might be searching for, such as maybe an FAQ section. Again, you can throw in some common questions that you get over the phone a lot, maybe common questions that you hear in the office a lot. These questions happen all the time, and they tend to fall around the same, 5 to 10 questions. They're all somewhat very similar. So you can use those as an FAQ page or section in your website. And just a little tip on the side, just so you know, Google's Hummingbird update actually admires, I should say, it very much promotes the fact of using more, I should say, less keywords and more kind of open phrases, more longer-tailed questions, I guess you could say. Because when people are actually searching for businesses, whether it's on the mobile phone or even if it's just on their desktop, they're actually searching not by keyword, they're searching by maybe phrases or maybe a question. A lot of times if someone is contacting, let's say they're talking to Siri on their Apple phone. How many times have you searched for something through Siri and you've asked a question, okay, or a phrase? What time is it? I'm hungry. Where's the closest restaurant? Whatever it may be. Those aren't keywords. There's keywords kind of throw in there, but it's more of a longer tail. It's more of a phrase. And Google is noticing that because a mass majority of people that search online are using mobile devices. So their algorithm has kind of been shifted to gear more towards that. And what an FAQ page does is it actually helps to provide that information to show relevancy on those pages, whether you have it on one page or you have FAQ questions sprinkled throughout your website on different pages. It gives it the ability to pull it up individually by those pages on the search results page. So it actually maximizes the amount of potential that your website could have instead of just having someone search for something and it only pulls up your homepage. I highly recommend that if you do have service pages that you at least have one or two questions, maybe towards the bottom with an answer right below them. A simple FAQ pertaining to that service itself. So that's actually something that will help to get that ranking up on that individual page. Or if you want, again, you can have an entire page just on frequently asked questions, and you can toss it in there. So what you want to do, again, like I mentioned, give as much information as possible so that way you can have them be prepared, and that way you don't have them kind of be deterred and go somewhere else that has the answers. So staying connected is, of course, one thing that a lot of people have a hard time with. Your social media, of course, if someone has questions and they go to your FAQ section, they still have questions, they want to kind of reach out to you, they might actually go towards your social media. Social media is vital, okay? Very, very vital to increasing your online presence. I can't mention that enough. If you do not have a Facebook, if you do not have a Twitter, if at least you do not have a Facebook, please get a Facebook. A Facebook is extremely important, and it is so extremely beneficial to your practice. It not only has the ability to give your clients and prospective clients a way to communicate to you by maybe possibly leaving reviews on your Facebook, maybe even asking questions, or even in general liking or commenting or even sharing posts that you make. Because again, if you aren't sure how Facebook works, if I have 1,000 friends and I like your business on Facebook and none of my 1,000 friends like it or even know about you, let's just say, and I comment on your post or I like your post or maybe I even share your post, it doesn't matter what I do as long as there's engagement at period. On my newsfeed, obviously not only my newsfeed, but their newsfeed, they will notice that I did something on your page, that I commented or I liked or I shared, whatever it may be. That gives visibility to 1,000 people that had no idea that you existed. That's free. That's free marketing that you didn't do, okay? The only thing you did was you actually made a post and it just happened to strike a chord with me. I was like, oh, I like that, I'm gonna share it. Or, oh, I like it, I'm just gonna like it, or comment on it. That happens all the time. Go on your own Facebook, take a look at different things that people like that you have no idea what profile they're liking, but the fact that it shows on your page is because that you are connected with them. That's a great tool to use, and it's an amazing way to get new prospective clients through Facebook. And again, the same thing works with Twitter, Google+, they all kind of work the same way. So make sure that you are staying connected in that aspect. And if someone does leave a message on your website, or sorry, on your Facebook, maybe they ask a question, make sure that you answer it as soon as possible, if you can. I mean, think of it this way. If they're going to go to you and ask you a question and you can't answer it within, I would say if you can answer it in the same day, that'd be great. Of course, if it's the weekend and you just can't get back to them in 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever it may be, I recommend do not exceed 48 hours at all. Try not to exceed 24 hours. Try to at least be someone active. If you can't, as a doctor possibly, if you're a office manager, maybe you can do that as well. If not, you need to dedicate someone on your staff, or at least a couple people on your staff, to have, I don't condone, hey, go on Facebook all day while you're at work, but at least have it to where maybe there's an email that's connected to your Facebook to where it will be forwarded to whoever is, working during that day, and they can actually respond proactively, okay? And again, that goes right into our next topic, which is, again, proactive service. So what you want to make sure that you do, again, just stepping back real quick on that, is if they do have questions, just answer it. answer as best as you can. And if you can't answer it fully, you need them to come in or you need them to give you a call. At least the fact that you responded to them is going to show them that you care, and then two, that you guys are actively trying to gain their business. And people like that, even though it's involving them spending money to give you business. I'd rather give money for business to a business that actually wants my business, as opposed to someone who's just like, yeah, sure, come on in, that sounds great, yeah, maybe we can answer your question. Like it's so nonchalant. I wouldn't want to do business with them because it just doesn't make me feel like they care if I'm there or not, so why should I be there? I'll go somewhere that actually wants my service. So make sure that you are staying connected in that aspect when it comes to social media, whether it's on reviews, Yelp, Facebook, it doesn't matter. Make sure you respond in some way. At least let them know that they're not throwing their questions and their comments and the reviews up against just a blank wall. Okay. So proactive service. All right. How have you ever gone to your favorite shop during normal business hours, expecting it to be open, but only to find it closed with handwritten paper sign on the door, possibly citing an unforeseen circumstance? Would you be even more frustrated if you had checked their website before you left and there was no notice of closure? We have so many tools to share happenings like this, and when they are not used as expected, it causes frustration and malice. Now, imagine if there had been a notice on the website, okay, about closure. Maybe imagine on the website itself that it mentioned, hey, we're not going to be open during this day or during this holiday, okay? Maybe, let's for instance, Black Friday, all right? There's a lot of businesses that actually close during Black Friday. There's a lot of business, obviously, that stayed open during Black Friday. So how do people know that? How will people know if you're going to be open or not? How will people know, hey, should I stop by? Maybe they have some deals. Even if you aren't pushing any kind of deals or ads anywhere on the website or on social media about Black Friday, people are going to know that Black Friday tends to bring deals. So whether you actually have a deal or not, they might just choose that day to stop into your office. And reason being is because a good amount of people actually had Black Friday off. So think of that when you are looking to better communicate. Okay, again, it opens that line of communication to your prospective clients. If you have any type of change, whether it's a change of address, a new location, maybe possibly, change of hours, maybe you guys used to be closed on Sundays, now you're open on Sundays. How is anybody going to know if you don't actually put it out there, okay? And it doesn't mean putting out some kind of sign that says, hey, this is something that's new that's happened. Put it everywhere. Put it on, if you have it on your directory listing, on Yelp, put it on City Search, Angie's List, whatever you have. Put it on Facebook, Twitter, every single piece that you have. You want to make sure that people understand and know that either the office hours changed, maybe it's under new management, maybe new services are offered, whatever it may be, because you have no idea that that could actually strike a chord with someone and let them know, hey, the only day I had open was Sunday, and you guys were never open. Now you are. That's awesome. Now I can come on in. So you need to make sure that you are proactive when you are offering that when you are explaining that, because a lot of times that could potentially help to get you more business and bring in more revenue, because a lot of times people might not be able to fit in your hours of operation. Keep that in mind. There are some offices that maybe they open up at 8 o'clock. Then they close at, 12 o'clock. And then they reopen again at 3 o'clock. I remember I went to a restaurant a couple weeks ago. I had no idea that they changed their hours to where, it closed during lunchtime, or it was some weird kind of hours where it closed at 2, opened up again at 6 or whatnot. I didn't know about that, and I've been going there for years. And I go there, and it was locked, and it had a sign. It was this scenario. It had a paper sign that, hey, we are closed. We open up again at 5, our new hours. I had no idea. I follow them on social media, Instagram, that kind of thing. There was no notice, and I ended up going somewhere else completely. I didn't wait. I didn't go somewhere and then come back at 5 to, oh, no worries, I'll come back. No, I went somewhere completely different. If they had maybe been a little more proactive on that, I might not have gone so early. I might have actually waited until 5 and then gone there still. So that's kind of what we're getting at. That's what I'm getting at, is make sure that you have everything open, and that at least as far as communication goes, and that you at least kind of give everyone an idea of what changes are going to happen if you guys are changing locations down the line, if you guys are actually, something's happening where maybe they're closing the road off, and at least you know about it ahead of time. There's no need for you to silo that information. You need to make sure that your clients and your prospects know about that, because that might change whether they are able to go to your place of business or whether they're not able to. But if you don't give that kind of information, it's actually going to detrimentally push them away, and they probably won't come back. Okay? So with that being said, if you have any kind of questions, again, we were going to kind of make this a little short so we can have some questions towards the end. Hit about the 30-minute mark, which is great. If you do have questions, feel free to go ahead and type them out. We do have a couple questions here, so I'll go ahead and go through those. If you want to take some of these questions offline, feel free to give us a call, 1-800-iMatrix or 462-8749. We will do a completely free, there's no catch, there's a free website evaluation if you have questions about different ways to communicate to your clients. Analytics is a huge one. If you have questions about that, I really don't blame you. I'm Google Analytics certified, but I will tell you right now, it was not easy. It's not one of those tests that are extremely easy. Oh, let me do it overnight. It's a lot of stuff going on in analytics, and I can tell you right now, I've been in this business for years, and there's still things on there that are always changing that I have to kind of look up a little bit more. I mean, it's constantly evolving. So you want to make sure that you get the most out of your website, and I want to make sure that everyone understands that this doesn't mean that it's going to be more effort. These tips that we give you guys every webinar, these strategies that we try to provide you, is really kind of going back to that first nod of efficiency and increased bandwidth. Here, as the marketing manager, I'm always constantly looking for ways that we can increase our bandwidth internally, how we can increase our efficiencies. Maybe we can do this a certain way. Maybe we can do this way a little bit better. You need to make sure that you are also looking at that with your current staff, but not only the staff, one of your number one employees, which is your website. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go through some of these questions, and we'll go ahead and see if we can answer them. Perfect question, right on the nod. So who can help me with Google Analytics? If you would like, I can have someone give you a call you and contact you and kind of go over your website and go over your analytics and just kind of let you know where some of the pain points are. That's actually a really good start for a website evaluation, just kind of seeing, maybe this page needs some work. Maybe it looks like you have a bounce rate on your home page. That's one of the number one things that people have, is they just have, right out the gate, their home page is the culprit, and that's the very first thing that people see. So, maybe that's one of those things where you need to kind of reevaluate and maybe change up the content, maybe change the look, maybe even change the theme overall of your website, because again, that, first homepage is like the open door. It's like the window to seeing everything. And if it's confusing and people just don't get what they're looking at, you might need to change the format and the layout of how that website looks. So I can definitely have someone reach out to you and kind of go over that with you, because again, Google Analytics is quite the beast. It's very large, but it's extremely helpful. Great question, by the way. Another question is, can you link our scheduling system to the website for patient online booking? It depends on what scheduling system you have. I can actually have someone go over that with you as well when they do the evaluation. We do have various ways of doing that depending on the industry. For the most part, I will say, 95% yes. It just, again, it's hard to understand what you're currently using and whatnot. So, but I will say that we do work with various different services, no matter what industry, whether it's our vision industry, vet industry, or chiropractic industry. And we're going into a new industry coming up here, so we'll get those details out there. You guys can understand what we're kind of going through and how we're growing, and we'll definitely get that information to you. So I will make sure to get someone to reach out to you on that, but definitely you should be able to link that to the website. Next question, I currently have an iMatrix website and have used Google Analytics in the past, but I would appreciate it if someone could go over our insights and analytics. Awesome. Definitely, again, if you have questions about the analytics, it is extremely, if anyone's ever looked at analytics, if you haven't looked at analytics, I mean, no problem. Take a look at the analytics if you can. There's a lot in there. I mean, you literally can find out what country someone is looking, what operating system. I could see if someone went to our website right now, I could see what operating system you're using, what browser, what country. It doesn't give you any information that's personal. Obviously, I can't see IP addresses. I can't see names, anything like that. I just can see locations and maybe areas and keywords that are being pulled up. You can see different keywords and different phrases that people are actually searching for that you pulled up for that you might not even know that you were being pulled up for. So that's actually a great tool as well. But yeah, I can definitely have someone reach out to you, and no problem. And yes, I do have your guys' contact info. I have at least the emails or whatnot, and I can get that information from you guys personally for phone numbers to contact you. And yes, definitely, I agree. Sorry, one of the mentions was Google Analytics is an amazing tool in a different language. Love it, but it is intimidating. So it definitely is. I do agree. So awesome. If anyone has any other questions, looks like that's all we got for today. Feel free to go ahead and reach out. Again, I will reach out to you guys via email, and I'll get your contact info and have someone reach out to you. And again, if you have any other questions or any concerns, definitely let us know. We'll help you out. And I do appreciate everyone stopping by today, and hopefully you guys have a wonderful holiday. We will have continued webinars throughout the month, I believe, possibly another webinar happening later this month. But if not, if I don't talk to you guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful year and wonderful holiday, and see you guys in 2017. Thanks.